Hello and welcome back, everyone. This is another LiquidTLO from his new replay pack, and today we are going to see two of probably in the bottom right of Newkirk District as our red Zerg player. We do have LiquidTLO. And in the bottom left of Newkirk District, another fan favorite Protoss player and a very good HOTS player, in fact, has really seen a resurgence in HOTS. Is going to be our blue Protoss player, WhiteRa. So, both players have been playing quite a lot of HOTS. They both play on the EU server traditionally, although TLO did spend quite a lot of time in Korea recently. He is in fact back in Germany for the moment. I'm sure he'll be leaving again, as he loves to spend quite a lot of time in Korea, as much as he can at least. ZVP has become quite an interesting matchup in Heart of the Swarm. There's a lot of new units, and I'm gonna be interested to see how TLO handles this, as well as how WhiteRa handles Zerg players. Traditionally, well, at least in the past few months, Zerg has been just barely favored in this matchup, only by a few percent. I know that most people say that, oh, the Broodlord Infestor Corruptor army is impossible to deal with, but in Heart of the Swarm, I do not believe that true, as we see a ton of new units. The Mothership, we have the Void Rays, which do bonus versus armored, so Corruptors, and Broodlords. We have Tempests, which can out-siege the siege Broodlords, and do quite a lot of damage to them. So, should be interesting. Hope to see some cool stuff go down. And are we going to see a Cannon Rush from WhiteRa? No, he has the Overlord there, so not really an option. And the Forge, in fact, is not even down. He's going to go for Nexus first. We did see a Hatch first out of TLO, not quite standard, although not completely, really not that big of a difference between pull first and hatch first, to be honest, in this matchup. Typically you'll see pull first just so you can get out like a couple Zerglings to make sure that there's no sort of cannon rush shenanigans, proxy pylons, any sort of stuff going on at the front that you might not be aware of. Forge now coming down after Gateway, so maybe wants to put on a little bit of Zealot pressure in the early stages. Not quite sure what that's all about. Pretty quick third coming out of TLO. This has been something that the Team Liquid players have been experimenting with a little bit more. I've seen it from Xeno as well, where they try to get up this third hatch around like 330, 340 at the latest. And this just allows them to power into a little bit of a stronger economy, as you have more larvae. No cybernetics core just yet from WhiteRa, so interested to see what's going on here, and in fact it does come down, so never mind. And I do believe that there's a gap there. Yes, there is a gap, so he's going to probably place a pylon up here, and then fill it with the probe. Yes. Overlord's going everywhere for TLO, making sure that he has all of the map vision. No +1 just not yet started, not sure why, but and that is why he's going to be opening Stargate. So, what are we going to see? Oracles, Phoenix, a Void Ray, the new Void Ray in fact, the new Phoenix, even with +1 range from Wings of Liberty, so it does make it much more viable. Even for like Overlord sniping and capturing drones off of the edge of the base, as you can pretty much keep them all safe and just snag like gas workers and stuff. Very important to note as a Protoss player. Kind of like this placement for the Stargate, as typically you'll see people sack their Overlords from like down here to try and check gases and stuff like that, as well as like hidden things back behind the mineral line, situations like that, and up here. So you don't really see someone just like having an Overlord hanging out in the middle of nowhere. Stalker does get the Zergling kill. Pretty passive game so far, and we are going to be seeing the Oracle. Cool. Very cool new unit. Really good at harass as well. But it is important to note that it's not its only ability. In fact, one of its better abilities I think that is really underutilized is the Vision, I believe it is. Revelation, that allows you to have vision of any units that were in the casted area. So basically, if you have like 3 oracles and you keep them alive, you can have vision of your opponent's army for literally the entire game, as long as you move in there and cast it on the army before it goes away, or as long as you have a general idea of where they are. Very sneaky from WhiteRa. If you can see, actually, you can't even see these units unless, because this cliff is so high. Quick third coming out. 2 oracles, more than likely just for defense at the moment. Gonna get up 3, and he is going to be going into a fleet beacon quite quickly off of just 2 bases. Another Stargate as well, and if TLO pushes out, he could do a lot of damage. Creep tumors coming down, and that's interesting. They actually classify them as 2 different ones, as one that was laid by a queen versus one that was spawned from an additional creep tumor. +1 on the way, +1 air weapons, WhiteRa coming out. Be interested to see, is he going to build Tempests or Carriers, or is he just going to use it to get the mothership from the mothership core? Hydroden on the way as Infestation Pit. Hydroden has been favored by a lot of Zerg players lately, especially TLO. They do seem to be very strong with their new movement speed. It allows them to just engage and disengage very quickly. Quite nice. In fact, we do see Carrier, the special tactics, coming out of WhiteRa. A little bit of Oracle harass here, and good thing to note, Oracles do beat a Queen one-on-one substantially easy, in fact, which is quite scary. 4th coming down for TLO, as the 3rd is getting saturated for WhiteRa. These carriers do take a buttload of time to build, but Graviton Catapult also going to be allowing the carriers to launch interceptors more quickly, to make sure that they can do that DPS very easily. And if you guys don't know, with the new carriers, they do in fact allow their interceptors to stay while they leave, so it's kind of like they can siege up for the most part. Transfuse? No. One Oracle does get picked off, and the other one barely escapes with only 22 health. I'd like to see maybe a Spore Crawler go down. TLO, a little supply box there for just a sec. No big deal, though. Ooh, and if he could have caught those drones in transfer, that would have been a hell of a nice pick-off. Carriers have arrived. I love these little tabs now. It shows you how many interceptors that they do have working away on these destructible rocks. Would have loved to see prismatic alignment. It does look like it was already used to do extra damage versus armored. It does in fact do +6 damage. Oracle's coming in here with, oh no, no observer. That was just a new creep tumor. Just trying to pick off any creep tumors just to make sure that they're not here. And we do see Vipers on the way. Very cool, as well as speed for the Hydras +2 as well. So pretty passive game so far. Neither player really engaging too terribly much, just kind of letting the other macro. Obvious respect between both players, as I'm sure they have played each other a ton, both being on the EU server. 3rd Stargate is out. And would love to see, yes, +2 weapons does come down for WhiteRa. A little bit of Oracle harass going on here. Does look like he finally lost his 2nd buddy. And now, well, it's not going to be able to do a terrible amount by itself. Cannoning up this position. 4th coming down for WhiteRa. I would love to see TLO move into a 5th, as he's really far ahead in supply. And it does look like we're going to have a huge push out of Hydra. A little bit of Roach and Vipers, who have used their consume ability. does appear a lot. Is he going to hit these carriers off? Is he going to grab them? He does grab the carriers and pulls them right into the Hydra's. Awesome play so far. Fungles them so they can't move, and then just target fires. But as we can see, they do still do quite a bit of damage, and he does lose them finally, but at what costs? We saw all the Vipers wiped out. We saw all of the Roaches and Hydras, in fact, killed off as well. No good for TLO. So you can see supply did drop quite a bit, and just going to go with a ton of Hydras. We'd like to see a couple more Vipers possibly, as that grab technique is really, really nice. But now we see triple carriers, in fact, no, quadruple carriers coming out for WhiteRa. Oracle picked off in the main. He's going to need quite a bit of Hydras to deal with this. Plus 2 weapons, semi-close to finishing up, and is going to try and push in here again. Photon Overcharge on this Nexus allows it to do so much damage, and now these carriers, in fact, even being fungled. But look at how quickly these Interceptors just clean up this army from TLO. The Roaches do not even stand a chance, and in fact, they're just going to have to run, but they are going to be picked off as well. Poor Queen has met her demise. Tons of Hydras coming out. Do see a small Roach force coming up here just to make sure that there are no expansions from WhiteRa that he's not aware of, although he doesn't really know about this one. Would like to see TLO take this base and this base, or even possibly this base, although I feel like these two up top would be a little bit better. Looks like he's going to go for like a little bit of Roach counter aggression, but there's a ton of cannons out here, sentries to even force field off the wall, and look at how many carriers are out. We do see an almost exclusively Hydra-based composition, +3 finishing up, as well as +2, +1 ground weapons just now started, as he's pretty much not really even made a ground army. And we do see Storm being researched. Very, very cool. Hydras coming out all over the place, and now this carrier actually has no interceptors. Is he just going to try and kill off the interceptors? As we can see, these carriers are in fact losing all of them, and that makes them pretty useless, as if you don't have interceptors, well, they can't shoot anything. It's like Broodlords without Broodlings. Photon Overcharge coming out again on this Nexus. Such a strong ability. Does in fact grant it a long-range attack, as we can see here, but it does look like it's going to fall to the extra range of these Hydras, and now the Interceptors really going to start doing some damage again to the Hydras. WhiteRa losing that Nexus, though. Not a good situation to be in. More Hydras coming in, though, from TLO. He is behind in supply, but WhiteRa is now behind in economy, as he's only on 3 bases, and, well, really these don't count, so 2 bases. And as we can see, TLO's distributed his economy a little bit better, and he'll have quite a lot to pick up from this 4th base. The Mothership Core did go down, it looks like, so it is up again now, though. Tons of cannons coming down from WhiteRa. Archon, or, excuse me, High Templar in the mix now. Storms will be very effective against these Hydralisks, even with +2 armor. 5th base now coming out of TLO. Both players are max +3 air weapons about to finish up, and how many interceptors? All of these guys do in fact have full interceptors, so the build rate I think might have been increased as well. They got them back quite quickly. Are we going to see some money storms come out here from the Protoss player? It does. Oh my gosh, and the storms, look at how fast TLO's supply just dropped. GG, in fact, called out WhiteRa with some sick High Templar storms, and the carriers to back it up. We just saw TLO's supply plummet from 200 to 140 in about 5 seconds, and that is the power of AoE casts. So if you guys enjoyed the game, yeah, please do subscribe, leave a comment, whatever you feel like doing. Just let me know was the cast good, was the cast bad. Would really love some feedback from you guys in the community to let me know what I can improve upon. But thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for some more Heart of the Swarm action. And I will be bringing some Wings of Liberty games, as there's going to be a small delay with the beta closing on March 1st and it not opening back up for the official Heart of the Swarm release until midnight of the 12th, so basically the 13th of March. There's going to be about a 2-week gap where Wings of Liberty will be the only thing able to cast, but I'm going to try and maybe bank up some Heart of the Swarm replays so we can just watch Heart of the Swarm all the way up until